Everybody go hands.
I've got all my life to live. I've got all my life. I'll survive. I will survive.
Hey, hey!
And there goes our copyright strike.
Ta-da! Yep.
Welcome, well.
That's why I tried to sing over it at the end, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, scratch it
Welcome,
up.
one and
Remix
all.
it up.
Ba-dum-bum. Welcome
All
everybody
right.
back to Late Night Snacks. We are here because we are going to celebrate with you, our wonderful audience, with us, our wonderful team, Pride Month 2021.
Yes.
Pride month. Happy Pride.
Oh, here we go.
Our question was, what is Pride and what does it mean
Gee.
for you?
For you.
So we're just going to discuss Pride, what it means to each of us, what it means to the average person, and what you can do about it. And with that, I will say I am one of your amazing hosts, one quarter thereof, Iris Melly,
Should be a
along with
t-shirt.
the
1/4
beautiful
thereof.
DeWanda, the second
Hey, everybody.
second quarter thereof, the amazing That Guide, third quarter thereof, and then the most beautiful, amazing Lady Di is the fourth quarter of, who is with us in spirit.
Wish you were here, though. It's your show.
Who knows?
It's
Who
Pride
knows?
show.
Maybe and hopefully she'll show up in the comments. We don't know.
True.
So who do we have right now? Let's see. Afro is in the comment.
Afro, have Pride.
What's up, Afro?
And Blaze is in the comments.
Hey, Blaze. What's going on?
Hey, Blaze.
What up, what up,
Blaze,
what up?
how's it
I ain't seen
going?
you in a minute, man.
Yeah, no doubt. How you been? Good.
Oh, wait, first one. There we go. Everybody gets one.
There
It's
you
Pride
go.
Love
gets
to
one.
everyone. Love is love is love is love.
Love. Yep.
That's right. Okay, so we're gonna do. Well, let's do snacks first before we break into our show.
Alrighty.
I couldn't read comments. Somebody's gonna have to read them.
No, I'll read it. All right. Afro means a lot to me. My boy my boy and niece are gay.
Oh.
That's good.
Pride. Cool.
All inclusive.
What'd you bring for snacks?
All right,
What
who's doing it?
doesn't she have over there?
I'm going
What
last.
doesn't she have?
What don't I have over here? I have like the entire corner of snacks over here. However, I did kind of go down the healthy route today. Yeah, no, not necessarily. It depends on how you look at it. Because this is like a morning thing, but I love them. They're the Belvita breakfast biscuits.
Oh, the biscuit
Okay.
things? Those are really
Yes.
good.
Never had
These
them.
things are addicting, by the way.
They
Um,
are.
Never had them.
They are.
You should try them. They're really good.
That's
They
what we'll
don't
do. We'll do a
taste like
taste test.
cardboard like some of them.
We'll do a taste test. Velveeta
And
what?
this one is the banana nut one, which is one of my
Ooh.
favorites. Yes. And it's the soft baked one. They have different textures.
Wait, they make soft ones?
They make soft ones.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my god, because I know the hard ones are good because they like
Yes,
they're crunchy, but
they
they like
make
melt in your mouth kind of.
I prefer
But
the
a
hard ones.
soft one, oh my goodness.
Well, no, they do.
And the
they
banana
make-
nut soft one, oh my god, warm it
Yeah.
up.
They have the banana nut ones. There's also like mixed fruit ones. They have sandwich cookies that are different flavors.
Nice.
So there's a plethora of different kinds. And as far as my drink is concerned, what am I always drinking? I'm always drinking some kind of sparkling ice.
Oh.
This one is grapefruit.
I don't like the
Very good.
grapefruit ones. All right. I
I'll do
got
one.
2 snacks because I couldn't decide. So I went with good old reliable, that bag that I started on of almonds. Still,
Hey,
it's a
there's
big ass
nothing
bag.
wrong with
That's
that.
the same bag.
It's a
Same
big
bag
ass
from
bag.
last time.
But then to go along with that big ass bag, I have a big ass bag of peanut butter M&Ms.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
And they're
I can do chocolate
delicious.
too because I have peanut M&Ms and other stuff as well. But
So good. And then to drink, I have a water. which is just natural ice, whatever. Or no, not natural ice, natural spring. So I don't know. You guys know what it is. Mountain ice. Mountain ice. That's what it is. And then I just have good old beer. I'm not going to say the brand, I guess, because I
Why
don't
not?
think we can. Can we?
We're not sponsored. Go ahead.
We're not sponsored. Go ahead.
Okay. It's just a Corona.
It's a Corona.
Well, there you go.
I recognize the bottle.
Yeah.
All right, what is Afro?
First
for a
in,
snack.
in quite a while.
Deer
There you
Park
go.
water and peanut butter M&Ms. M&Ms.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Sweet.
addicting. They're addicting.
Sweet.
I have peanut M&Ms.
I used to always eat peanut M&Ms on the show.
Yeah,
Man.
I have
I used
peanut
to
M&Ms.
always eat peanut M&Ms too. That was like my
Mhm.
addiction when I was younger, like all the time.
I
And
see it
then
on the show.
as soon as I discovered peanut butter M&Ms, I was like, they're not I don't want to say they're not as good as Reese's Pieces because it's a
I
debate
prefer
I don't want to
Reese's
get
Pieces.
into. I do too, but I really like these too because they're bigger, so
Mhm.
you get more peanut butter
You
per
get more
bite.
for your buck.
It's true.
Right, and they're still
They're
good.
good.
It's still good, so it's
Yup.
like, weigh it up.
All
What do
right.
you have?
What do you got?
Okay, this was for Lady Di, who's not
Your
here.
drum roll.
So, Lady Di, if
Drum
you're
roll,
listening,
please.
this is for you, and I better hear a comment back. In the spirit of gay pride, we have our sparkling gay pride brownies,
Nice. Yay!
Nutter Butters,
Oh, those are the best. Wow.
and a Ding Dong.
Nice.
I knew it.
That was for Lady Di.
Whoa. I was like, it's either a ding dong or a ho ho.
Actually, these are the
Oh,
snacks.
yeah.
We weren't even playing this way, but these are the snacks that Julian brought home, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're all three perfect."
That's perfect.
This is perfect. Yeah. So, and a show first, everybody. Show first, drum roll.
Oh, wait. I gotta hold my beer. Here we go.
New show cup.
Ooh.
It's our new show cup.
Nice.
Spider-Man.
Here.
I still can't sing that without thinking Spider Pig to this day.
Spider
I
Pig.
know.
Spider
Oh,
Pig.
and B is in the house now.
What up, B?
B is in the house.
Mwah, 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 mwah. We love you.
Anyone have any announcements, show and tell, stories, jokes?
Oh, and
Lady
yes,
Di,
Lady Di, we love you.
We love you. Who's got what before we start?
I have a story.
Okay, sure.
So my youngest daughter got to go to her first parade on Saturday, which
There you
just
go.
happened to be one of our local, close by kind of area pride parades. So
Nice.
these are her ears actually that she got. I kind of confiscated them for the show. My rainbow
They're
ears. They are, aren't they?
Very cute.
I like them.
They're cuter on her though.
Well, yeah.
But
But
yeah,
they still-
I was so excited for that because I thought, how cool is that the very first parade period she gets to go to is fun and colorful and exciting and happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what an
very telling.
experience, especially for a young child, like to see, all of that stimuli, but to see like happiness surrounding all of that stimuli.
Oh, B, you didn't miss anything about Di.
My joke was all it is. Go back and watch it.
Oh yeah, we
It's
just
funny.
saying we love her and she's here with us in spirit.
She's
B.
here with us in spirit,
She'll pop on, I'm sure.
and I bet she'll pop in
Hopefully.
before we're done tonight. So
And make a liar out of you.
probably.
Mm.
No,
Okay.
I
Well, go
have
ahead.
yet to go to a gay pride
Really?
parade. I have not gone yet. Doesn't mean I won't.
You're gonna
I
have
just
an
haven't.
experience. You're gonna
Nope,
have
I haven't
fun.
experienced it. Nope.
Yeah, you should. Everybody should experience them. You know,
Okay,
I should go.
every major city, not even major
Everywhere
nowadays,
now.
but everywhere has a boys' town type of area.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, sure.
I know.
There's
So
skate bars,
you've
yeah.
been there?
No.
I knew you were going to say that. We have to go take her. We're all taking a road trip. All right.
Well, I'll take a road trip.
Yeah, well, we'll
Next
talk about
on
those.
the road one day.
We'll talk about those neighborhoods and such because it's really important to the community, to the
Yeah.
movement. And you're right. Almost every small place now at least has like one little gathering place or one
Well,
little bar or something.
I knew you were just saying about like the parades, like, everybody's like branching out and they're everywhere now, which is amazing. But I even, I just read an article and then I watched a quick video and I wish I could have remembered it so we could put it in the description. But sorry, guys, you'll have to search it yourself. But it was about this girl who talked about how her town, her small town, didn't have a pride parade. So she created her own for the town. And just like
That's how it
gathered
starts.
people and got people together and got people in on it and everything and her friends and stuff. And it just became a bigger thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It all starts with one, man.
Well, see, and
One.
that's the spirit of it. That's the heart of it all, right there. It's about, it really is about exposure, about getting out there, about being seen, being recognized, and but one person doing it in one small town because they want to go out and be seen. That's the spirit of it, and it attracts people, it brings people in, makes people feel okay, feel safe. Yeah. So that's cool. What did your daughter think of it, Mel? What was she take from it?
Okay, so my oldest took my youngest.
Aw.
So it was really cool because for those of you who don't know, my oldest is 21, my youngest is 1.5.
Yeah.
Hence the chaos of my life.
Yep.
So, but I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But yeah, so it was interesting. So I couldn't give you the youngest perspective per se,
Well,
obviously, other than I did, what my daughter told me and that, she was just happy the whole time. But she's generally a happy baby anyway. She really is. But when she's mad, she lets you know. But she's generally a happy baby. And she just, had fun doing her thing and eating and meeting people and stuff. So, but I know Savannah's been to different events and things like that before.
Oh, good.
I'm not sure if this would have been her first Pride Parade or not. But I know they were talking about going to the one out in Chicago.
Wow.
Coming up next week, I believe it is.
That'd be a big pride, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Huge.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, they had a blast. They had a blast.
Good. So long as everything's in the spirit of love, spirit of fun, it's great.
This one is for you, Michael. Although he spelled it wrong. That guy. Love you, man. Rock it proudly, dude.
Sure.
Okay.
I do. I am proud. I am out proud. There's reasons for it. We coming out's not easy. At any stage in anyone's life, and there comes a point in your time where you are really proud of the community, proud of who you are, proud of what you're doing, and that's the spirit of all of this. Nobody should be afraid, even though there are reasons to be afraid, and that's sad. But we're gonna learn today.
Like you said, we come a long way, but
we're gonna learn today how far we've come and what this is all about. And we started off. Our Pride show is gonna be a little bit different this year than it was last year. Last year, I think we had a little party, a little celebration for what was Pride.
This one's a little bit.
I kicked off this with a soapbox. It's just
we talked with Pat about history.
Yeah,
but not much.
Watching commercials and advertisements and marketing around Pride really stirred something up in me a couple weeks ago, and so I started really thinking about, we need to educate. We need to talk about where we come, what this all really means. It's not about merchandise that you buy to show off Pride. It's not about money exchange. It's not about making somebody rich who has nothing to do with any of the people that are involved in being oppressed in this situation.
That's because it's becoming a big part of what a lot of people are making it.
I know.
It is. People are making it money. Speaking of that, I do want to show off a couple of things because I'm not against marketing for any type of cause, so long as the spirit of why you're doing what you're doing is meaningful to the cause and not meaningful to some corporation that's just making money that has nothing to do with it. It's like if you see something like Target selling a whole Pride section in their stores, right? The first thing that I always ask myself is, okay, how are they recognizing the organizations that represent Pride? How are they recognizing that? And where's the money going? Those are two things. If none of the
Well,
money's
you know what else
going,
I would look at, because everybody's redeemable. Don't get me wrong, to a
Mhm.
degree, right? Everybody deserves a second chance to a degree. So, but it's like you also have to look at the fact is like what was their previous relationship with the LGBTQ community
correct,
before Pride Month
correct.
happened, and that's what
Right.
I think a big
Yeah.
part of people don't think about
Yeah.
when they see the big sections and things
Yeah.
like that.
Using civil rights or oppressed people's agendas or their fight to make you rich when you have
Yeah.
nothing to do with the fight. That's what bothers me, and that's where the problem is. But there are companies out there that are doing fantastic work for gay organizations, for their gay employees, for whatever the situation may be. They're transgender people. There's companies that are now medically supporting same-sex surgeries and or change-sex surgeries and all that stuff. It's fantastic. All that stuff should be a right. It should be accessible to anybody, regardless of gender, race, or sexuality. And so those companies are doing great work, even if they're just doing it for their employees, and their company stance doesn't have anything about the cause. But if they're doing the benefits and the care and taking care of people in their corporation who work for them, then that's really good. Then that's good. That's positive. That's free thinking forward.
Yeah, Apple
No.
agrees with you totally.
So I just want to show up a couple things that I find neat, marketing wise, that companies are getting it right for the most part. This is what you guys that affect my life. The first one I just want to show really quick is people probably won't know, but I was into Transformers for a long time, and this was sent to me as a gift from Chosen Prime. And what this is this is Chrome Dome and Rewind in their comic book representations toy. These two robots. There was a gay author that actually created a storyline between these two characters. They're absolutely male, as far as gender, identity as a robot, and they had a relationship. They had a full blown arc of a relationship where they met each other and fell in love, and how they fell in love, and how one sacrificed the other for each other. And it was a big 50-50 blow up in the Transformers community for a long time. People were like, yeah, how can there be
I can't
gay
imagine
robots?
why.
Or, well, a cartoon is a cartoon. Is there sexuality in a cartoon? Yeah, probably not. But the point was, this gay author was using these two very
Yeah, but
popular
the thing is, they're
characters
machines
to
too.
tell a story. Yeah. But it wasn't about sexual organs. It was about sexuality and love, and two males showing it to a different audience. The Transformers community for a whole is really not kind of into the whole gay cause or anything. So to use those two characters, it was interesting being a part of that whole thing, to see everybody's reactions. And the reactions was fairly more positive than it was negative, but then there was some really, really ugly negative stuff that came out of the narrative. It's one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever read. And it just happens to be a comic book, happens to be fictional characters, but the point was to talk about relationships and love. And that's what this author was able to do in this totally weird community that had nothing to do with sexuality and stuff. So that I got in the mail today, which is very interesting. And then this is
That's really cool.
Lego just released this, and this is for Pride this month.
Oh,
This is their
I love
set.
it.
Oh,
And
I
this
love
is-
that. That's not. Oh,
This is a very
Wait, hold it still. I want to see their
hold
hair.
it still.
this is a very interesting set, because the guy that created this set is gay himself.
I
And
have
he-
some characters that have those hair.
Yeah, the hair. And he created something very similar like this in his office on his desk, just to represent himself and to show you as Lego is proud. Lego does well by their gay employees, but vocally they're not quite out there as a company. To allow this set to be made, to celebrate it for what it is, was incredible to hear that Lego is doing. However, what I found interesting about the whole thing was, even though the title of the set is called Everyone is Awesome, which is the other set. So it's very obvious what the set is about, right? But nowhere on the box,
Everyone is awesome.
and nowhere on any link to buy this
Oh man, now I'm gonna want to
mentions
sing the song
mentions
again.
anything about
I
sexuality.
know.
So there's no list anywhere about what this means when you go to buy it.
Right.
However, what they did do was they did a bio of the guy in a video on the actual site, and in the book they did a whole bio of who he was, why he created this.
Oh, nice.
I love
and-
that it's not just the rainbow.
Oh yeah, no, it's
utterly inclusive.
everybody in the community that's represented by this cause is represented by these colors, and he talks about that. He talks about that in the video, why they chose the colors that they chose, why they titled it what they titled it, and so this is a powerful statement from a company,
Yeah.
one of the most successful companies in the world to date. So kudos to Lego for doing something
That's
so special.
really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except
So
now I have the song in my head, and
yeah,
it's never.
oh yeah, and they chose that because of that exactly. So
If they want
sad that was me.
awesome.
But let's just. So our agenda today for this show a little bit is just to educate and talk about what, to me, and I guess to anyone should be, where this came from, where we've come as a people, and why Pride is what it is today. And I was watching some documentaries and stuff today, and there was a quote on one of the first ones that I watched, which was so powerful to me that I just got chills because it's who I am and what I'm all about. Is when this person said, "Because of my privilege, it's now my duty to educate," and that's powerful. That is so incredibly powerful because basically what this guy was saying is transgender, fully transgender, female to male, part of the community for he's a young person, but part of the community through their whole life. And this young person, we're talking about people in their 20s, really this generation, like Mel was saying with their daughter, that are now growing up in a world where gay rights exists, where much more of an equality exists, where tales of the horrors of the past is kind of like a textbook kind of tales to them. The reality is not there. Whereas the people in my generation, but the generation before me, are the ones that marched and fought and changed laws and sacrificed and died for this cause. So for this young man to say this on the television, to recognize that what we're living through today is a privilege.
Yes.
Because it wasn't like this before.
It wasn't like it before.
And to remind myself through different things that I watched today of how bad it really was, and how oppressed gay people or transgender people or queer people in general were. It was frightening. Was absolutely frightening to listen to. For example, pre-Stonewall, people could. Well, you could lose everything just for being in a place. You could be in a gay bar or a place where men dance together, or a place
outside of a place.
You'd be outside of a place,
Yeah.
exactly. You'd be arrested for anything. But once arrested or once identified as in these social circles, you could lose your apartment, your car, your job, your health insurance, your kids, take kids away from you if you have kids. I mean, all these things were just never questioned. You were just oppressed, and so there's that. Then there's also the violence and the beatings and cops harassing people and raids and coming into people's homes and seeing who they're sleeping with or seeing the clothes that are in their closet, and arresting them, stripping these men down on the streets, naked, and cops beating them, just to take them to the thing. Gay people, just like many other races and genders who've been oppressed over the years, gay people were just as oppressed as animals. And this was about 50 years ago. The people who have lived through this and were beaten on those streets and arrested by those cops, a lot of those people are still alive today. That's how young this whole movement is they were interviewing people for Pride Month this month who were there at Stonewall, who were arrested, who were beaten, and to look at these people and to hear their tales, first-hand count tales, makes you realize, wow, we really have come far in such a short time, and it's so young that we were so brutally oppressed.
Oh,
And what do you say?
He says,
Yes.
my son
Shake
lives
that.
a better life because of people like you. That guy, thank you.
Thanks. So how all this started is fascinating. Is it started as just like a lot of revolutions or a lot of rights movements and stuff, where people just get tired of it. They just get tired of being beaten down. They get tired of being less than a person, or tired of being arrested by a cop for no reason, just for walking down the street. Stuff like that. Yeah. And like we were talking about in the beginning of the show, every community, every city, every town, every village, every whatever has got a gathering somewhere. And because that's how people come together. They come together with like-minded, shared people and they find themselves a little haven where they can feel safe, feel like they're not just some freak out of nobody. There's other people like them around, whether that be no matter what interests you have. People gather with like-minded, right? And that's what happened with the gay community with bars and stuff. People would start gathering over dark rooms and drinks and stuff to hide from police, to keep quiet from their communities, but be able to laugh and have a drink and dance and whatever. So these bars started popping up places, and how
Some
the
of
the how
most
the
fun
rev-
you'll
the
ever
gay
have.
rights how the gay
I
rights
just
movement, the revolution moved forward and started. The spark of it was people being sick of it.
I just
And
hate the fact that they had to hide because
oh,
I just think
are
that's
you kidding?
wrong.
Yeah, well, hiding lasted through the '90s, through the early
Yeah.
2000s. People were hiding. We'll talk about that when we get
To this day in some towns and
yeah,
some
Some
sometimes
towns
states.
they're
sure.
still hiding.
Sure. But back to Stonewall. What happened was that the night before, Don, do you get pictures up?
Yeah, hold on. Let me share the screen.
Sharing
Sharing.
is caring sometimes.
What do you want to start with?
For the first one, the singer.
Okay, hold on.
What? Her name just escaped me. Do I have a code on there?
No, I don't.
Mm.
But I know what you're looking for here.
Yeah, look it up. I want to see her name. I forgot her name.
There's the Stonewall.
Okay, there's Stonewall. So this is Stonewall back in the '60s when this took place. Stonewall's a different building now, but there was that Stonewall then. This is where it all took place. This is a bar, and this is the night of the riots, I believe, where you can see all the people in the streets. I mean, the people just gathered in thousands because basically what happened is the night before there was a local entertainer who was harassed by the cops and beaten in the streets, and the next night people were still frustrated about it, still pissed about it. You sit around water cooler talk or whatever. People just going over and over what happened to this person, and somebody threw a shoe at a cop when the cop started to raid, and a shoe hit a cop, and people just felt empowered. And a riot happened. The cops were outnumbered. People taking to the streets lasted about 4 days, and then activism was formed. People felt empowered. People felt that they could win over these cops, and then they decided to stand up and take notice and not worry about it. This was June 28th, 1969. So we're a little over a 50-year period from when this is happening. So the next couple pictures is just the two of the most famous people, activists that started this whole movement. That's Martha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. And both of these, one is Marsha was labeled as a drag queen. Sylvia's transgender. These are both women of color who really took to the Sylvia, really took to the activism part of it. Oh, there's me and Stonewall. But just fine. We'll Sylvia or Marsha.
I gotta find it. No.
Lord, you got them all out of order.
I know. I did it really fast.
Lord.
We were like in a hurry. So we did it in
The
a
African
hurry.
American lady is Marsha. If you find her picture.
There's more Stonewall.
Yep. Okay. Here we go. This is the
There we
first picture. First picture is the entertainer that was beaten that was harassed by the cops. Second one is Marsha. The third one is Sylvia. Okay. But the second two, these are huge activists that started the movement, and they were really fired up and really empowered because they were women of color. And unfortunately, when this movement, what happened was there was a lot of infighting. There was still a lot of racism, and a lot of gay men going against any of the drag queens or trans women, stuff like that. They didn't want that in part of their whole activism. And there was a lot of real ugliness inside. And these two really brought the movement forward and brought everybody on the same table and brought everybody forward. And both of them have books written after them and movies after them, the whole 9 yards. But we like to show them because these two really are. If it wasn't for these two, somebody eventually probably would have done it, but it wouldn't have started then, and it wouldn't have gone as fierce and as angry and as watch Sylvia. There's a lot of footage of Sylvia speaking at places, and the pain that comes from her with her speeches was just pure exhaustion. I just so tired of the bullshit, tired of all of it. And you can see it in these people. You see the frustration in their speeches and stuff, and they work their ass off till their death, with this movement. So we always recognize them and really, really appreciate the four founders. These three people were
Pioneers.
some of the ones that pioneered,
Yeah.
that were brave enough to stand up and say enough is
Mhm.
enough. And so what that did is 2 weeks later, it founded the first organized organization,
Good
and the
comment.
organization was formed in New York. That organization, a year later, decided to march in the streets. This is the Gay Liberation Front, was what was called. They decided a year later to march in the streets to remember what happened Stonewall before, and that was the first official gay pride parade. And it wasn't about pride; it was about oppression. It was about once again taking to the streets, organizing, protesting, pre-rioting to get people to see you, to notice you, to know that you were there, you were human, you had the rights to feelings and to love and to a job and to security and everything. And so it just became bigger and bigger and bigger. And as the movement became bigger, people got angrier. People felt, yeah, you're damn right. We should be treated normally. And so all these little sparks, that people started messing with, Congress and the Senate and trying to get laws changed in the Supreme Court. And it took 50 years to evolve to where we're at. And we had some bumps in the road. We still have bumps in the road, but one of the
There were a lot.
biggest, one of the biggest that
Some
we had.
potholes in the road.
Oh, there's ditches in the road. One of the biggest ones, of course, is the AIDS crisis. In the early days of the AIDS crisis, all three of us would remember. In the early days of the AIDS crisis, it was the gay cancer. It was only happened to gay people, and let it happen to gay people.
Even into the 90s, that's what they were telling kids. I remember in grade school hearing about how it being the gay cancer and everything else.
And society's view of it at the time, or even the administration's view at the time, the Reagan administration's view at the time, was let it wipe them out. Because this is God's way of telling the world that homosexuality or all this is wrong. Is a sin, so let it wipe them out. I mean, that's what was taught. That's what was said in the streets. And so what happened it wiped people out. There was no funding for gay research. There was, there's no good hospital care for AIDS research. And these people just constantly were, just dropping dead in their homes and on the streets and stuff. And people were scared and they were beaten and they were oppressed even more because they were recognized with AIDS, because that was back in the time with Kaposi's sarcoma, with the big, lesions on all over the body and stuff. And so the AIDS crisis was horrific for gay people. And it wasn't until, I'll keep going. Stop. It wasn't until some people like this particular young man started to open the eyes of people to see this can affect anybody. And this particular young man is Ryan White, who was 18 when he died of AIDS. And his 18, what he left to the world was the first time that somebody saw a child nationally plastered all over the place. The face of AIDS was this kid never engaged in any type of sexuality. Or sex or anything. Got it from a transfusion, and people started to wake up. Magic Johnson was another one. What's his face from the actor from Dynasty? Charlton Heston was one, even though he was gay, but that was like, oh, Charlton Heston, if he's got it, then so these type of social things is what got AIDS started to look at by other people other than just those nasty gay men that are dying in the corner. Let them die.
Right.
Reagan was in his second term and his third year before the word AIDS was mentioned out of his mouth publicly anywhere. And the first person diagnosed with AIDS happened within his first month of being president, his first term. So almost 7 years went by, and the government, the administration wouldn't even recognize that it was a real thing. And, this mass death happened, because of this. But people like Ryan here, they, or Princess Diana, was right there with Ryan White, and they carried his name. He became the name of the foundation, the name of, a recognizable, beautiful name in his face, all there, to remind people that now this can happen to anybody. And it wasn't and what the AIDS crisis taught the world about gay people is they were prejudged. And they were prejudged in such a vicious, vile way that a lot of people that would naturally thought that just by ignorance started to wake up and think, my God, that could have been my son, my neighbor, my daughter, whatever. Wow.
Like I was saying about grade school. I remember in grade school, they had like PSA type of campaigns that they would play for all of us kids, and I'm talking all
I
the way from
remember
junior
those.
high, that would inform us that you couldn't get it from saliva on a drinking fountain or a toilet seat, and they had to educate people, and I'm glad they did, because people, like kids, we were terrified because all we were hearing from adults was gay cancer and you're going to catch it and
Yeah.
this is how you get it. And like you said, until suddenly people like woke up when this
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, it was tragic. I mean, it's tragedy we're still paying for.
Yeah.
You know, Bill, it's just bad. And for the government to treat us the way they treated us, anytime I ever hear the words that Reagan was a good president, I almost throw up in my mouth. It's like Reagan is a murderer. Reagan killed millions of young men and women just because he wouldn't brave up and open his mouth. So it's sad. It's really sad that and this is where we're talking 1980s, 1990s. This was I was in the 90s. I was graduated. I was getting ready, to high school. Back into high school, I was, becoming a young man myself. In the mid 90s, late 90s, I was already an adult. So this is my lifetime. This is things. My first Pride Parade march was all about activism. It was all about anger. It was all about standing up and speaking out because of the AIDS crisis. So I came in on the back heels of that, and it wasn't a big party dance in those days. This was about anger. This was about letting people know that we're still out here oppressed. We're still out here dying. We're still out, the whole 9 yards. So, and just in my lifetime to see Pride become what it's become. I lived through a lot of the more recent hiccups in America. One was Don't Ask, Don't Tell. My first relationship was with a Navy guy, and we lived through Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We had 2 separate bedrooms. We had 2 separate closets. We had all these things because the military could have come in and court-martialed him just for living with me.
Yeah.
And so my entire relationship with this man was all in fear. We couldn't have people over at our house. We couldn't have dinners and stuff like that.
Because all it took was one person saying
I
something.
know.
Correct, and that was in my adult
That's
lifetime.
all it would take.
Yeah, and people were kicked out of the military. People were sent to the brig to court martial for this. Every Christmas party I remember, or the big holiday parties that the squadrons and whatever do in the military. He always felt bummed that everybody's there with their families or with their spouse, like whatever. He always had to go solo, or always had, whatever. So this is, real life, real memories for people. So that, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, people get kind of misconstrued. The reason why Don't Ask, Don't Tell became a law, because what was proposed later instead of Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a lot worse. It was about banning gay people from the military. That was the alternative at that time for how to treat people, was you either do it all or you just shut up about it.
All right. Do we still want to share the screen, or do you want?
No, go ahead. Yeah, we'll share it in a second. So Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the AIDS crisis. Then more recently, we all went through the gay marriage fight. And in the gay marriage fight, it took one man. The picture of the guy that was hugging, it's Gavin Newsom, who's now the governor of California. He took to the streets of California in San Francisco, said, enough, I'm going to let people in my city marry when he was mayor. And that snowballed, and it got into court fights and all sorts of stuff. And then it led us into the blackest period of my life, which was Prop 8. We elect the first African-American president on the same day that we approved Prop 8 in California, which is basically saying the people of California don't want gay marriage. And whatever has been done needs to be undone. Because Gavin's got gay marriage rolled in 2015, and we didn't see a change. No, he got to 2013. 15 was like the year it became law in California, and then it didn't take till 2020 for the Supreme Court to recognize it and outlaw it as unconstitutional. So this fight was, an
But
active
wait,
10-year fight.
who did it?
Who did what? Gavin started it. Gavin was one of the pioneers to start gay marriage. Gavin Newsom. He stood up and he said, San Franciscans, you can marry. And he went to the courthouse and allowed people to marry. Now, my experience with gay marriage was horrific. One of the darkest periods of my life, because in one day, the day of November, whatever it was, that next morning, when we woke up, no. It was before when Prop 8 got on the bill, and we had to fight Prop 8. So it was way before the election. So before the election, we woke up one day when all of a sudden Prop 8 was put on the ballot, and realized office mates of mine were against gay people. Neighbors 3 doors down in a gay town in San Diego were against people. And how do we know that? All these little yellow flyers started popping up everywhere that show those little stick figures of a family and saying that we were perverse and that we were molesting your children. These things started popping up in offices of mine and neighborhoods of mine. There's nothing more disgusting than sitting there eating dinner and a commercial comes on TV with like Jeopardy or something like that, major family time, that how gay people are molesting your children. And gay people, this was a few years ago this happened.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
very
I had to go
recent.
to work every day. I had to live with neighbors. I had to hear this on my television, try to watch news, and then I had to get mad. And we got mad, and we fought, and we brought the city of San Diego into the wedding. We were one of the first ones when it was legal to bring the register to vote kind of stuff, and people were there, and you get mad and you get so frustrated, out on the streets, and you start looking in the eyes of people you thought you knew, and realize they have no respect for you as a human being whatsoever. I cut people in my life in so fast when I realized that these people that I worked with for years, for almost a decade, some of them had thought I was an abomination.
It's
that
sad.
I was a sin. And this whole Prop 8
sad.
movement gave them
It's really
power to
sad.
do so. And they gave them power and a national voice to stand up and say these people are freaks, and they were allowed to do so. They were doing so in commercials. They were
Yeah.
doing so on the streets.
Like you said, yeah,
it was sad.
nationally.
And that's where I got really politically involved and really mad about the cause, because that was my life. I was living it at that moment. So these are modern moments that we're still continuing to learn, still continuing to grow. Gay marriage is absolutely legal now, and it would take an act of God, Congress, and something very, very difficult to change the Constitution to get it reversed. And so we're moving forward. We're doing these things, but just Barack Obama was the best president as far as just signing legislation in. He did a lot of stuff signing legislation in. Whereas what happened right after that, we took a step backward. We get the Trump administration, and the bills were starting to be written to oppress gay people again. Once again, in the Trump administration, we had the bill signed into the military that transgender people were illegal in the military. Here we are, right back at a Prop 8 kind of, not Prop 8, right back at a don't ask, don't tell kind of situation with transgender women in the military. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. People are still getting abused. People are still losing jobs. There is no federal civil rights act across the government as far as gay people and oppression. There's by state, but there still is no federal law. States can change
Which
whatever they
blows
want.
my fucking mind, dude.
Yeah,
It's
2021.
not like we're asking
and-
for anything
yeah.
special. It's a human
Oh,
fucking
no.
right
So-
to be
It's a
treated
right.
right.
It's a
The
human
reason why I
right
mentioned
to
that-
have these things.
The reason why I mentioned that is because that means the fight still goes on. It's not just a party still. It's not just go out and buy the latest, the t-shirt, butt plug, whatever the hell you're going to buy because it says gay pride on it. There's still things to be done. There's still, and there's oppression of race and gender inside these movements. And, people are still fired up today and still taking, there's a lot of causes that people are fighting for now. I learned of a couple of them myself today. Did you know that there's children born with questionable sexual orientation as far as their actual organs? And there's actually, the government is actually coming in and assigning a sex surgery to these children. So there's that fight going on to stop that from happening. Let people be, who they are. So there's still a lot of work to do. But
It's one
Going
thing
back
if
to the
your
original
parents
quote-
decide for you.
Well,
going
yeah.
back to the
It's
original
government
quote,
to decide for you.
what the original quote was all for is, it's just too powerful to leave privilege. Because of my privilege, now it's responsible for me to educate. And if anybody takes anything away from this show, is that we should consider this a privilege, and we should remember that people fought and died and bled and literally, instead of war, went through personal hell to get just to the privilege where we're at today. And we're still not equal. We're still
No.
beaten in the streets. We're still scared to mention, there's kids that are frightened to death to come out when it shouldn't matter. And
No,
there's kids still committing suicide over that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done. But
Every
again,
day. Every day.
Celebrate. Please celebrate, because by celebrating and showing how far we've come, and celebrate and to show how joyous this is a time to be in, to do that. I think that's why the whole celebration of Pride has become so important, because it's showing them that we're okay. And let's be happy about that. Let's be proud about that. Let's get it. So instead of taking to the streets mad, we're taking to the streets dancing. So that's the thing. But just remember that there's still a cause out there. And I think that's the important thing to educate. We did forget one person on that photo list, and I should have mentioned when we talk about the abuse is Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard, who also in his name and in his death got quite a few laws changed, and that was because this guy was so brutally murdered because he was gay. He was beaten. He was pistol whipped. He was beat. His face was beaten against recognition. The only thing you could see was the tear streaks from his eyes. He was tied to a fence, left in freezing conditions in Wyoming. This kid suffered for, but his name has become so important. His foundation has become so incredibly important to the whole gay violence or hate crimes laws and stuff that's come in. So even their deaths or tragedies, it's nice to know that there are some faces to this. There are some reasons for what these poor children have gone through, to get to where we're at today. So any young gay person that's out there, then the next time you're free for all, in a club and carrying on, remember that. Think of Matthew Shepard, think of Ryan White, think of the people that died during the AIDS crisis and stuff. They're the reason you're dancing in that bar.
Yeah,
they're your forefathers that literally gave everything so that you can dance in the bar, and they're grateful that you can dance in the bar because they fought for it, right. and they died for it. And that's and if anybody can watch documentaries or carry on or continue to educate and whatever, that's what it's about. Stand up, be heard, be seen, accept, it just love. It's about equality. It's about love. And one more piece of education that people always tend to get wrong: the pink triangles during the act up stage. Everybody know where the pink triangle came from? Very few people know this in the regular world. The pink triangle was gay people's yellow star in the Holocaust. That's where that came from. Yes. Mm-hmm. We had a classification all on our own, and so gay people, just like the Jewish people, just other non-white genders, were massacred during the Holocaust as well. So you see the pink triangle. We recognize the yellow star of David. People see the pink triangle, they think gay. Why? From the Holocaust. That's why. So these are really horrific things to hear, but important to remember that these real people have gone through this to be here. So we celebrate Pride. We want everybody to celebrate Pride. Have fun. Go wild. Scream, yell, celebrate. Be who you are, because you can be who you are. That's my rant for the day. Pride. That's all serious. Are we going out?
I don't know. Are we?
Mel's playing music out. She's playing our show. Lady Di.
We're talking about celebrating.
About her
Celebrate.
All right. That's our rant.
Well,
maybe we'll do a part B this summer fun.
We love you. We love you for being here. We'll see you guys in the next one. Be kind to yourself and be kind to someone else, because they deserve it too.
Bye guys.